I'm sorry. People always buy and sell. Always. I don't care what happened. We had our best year ever during the pandemic. If I treated my profession as a business broker did and looked at the business side of the tenant in the greatest detail I could to tell that landlord, this is the right choice for you. So when you're a broker, you have the foundational aspects to be an investor. But one thing we learned, there's a significant difference. The best brokers don't necessarily make the best investors, and the best investors don't make the best brokers.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Commercial Real Estate Blueprint Podcast. I'm very excited for today's episode. I have Rod Santomassimo. He is a commercial real estate coach, author, and speaker. I've taken his program. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts. I've read his books. Just awesome. He puts out awesome information in the commercial real estate world, and I think he's going to add so much value to everybody listening. So thank you so much for coming on, Rod.
Graham, Jesse, so thrilled to be on the show. You know, whenever I could get back and talk to an inactive client, as we call them, love to have this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. For people who don't know much about you, give us a little bit of your background and how you ended up in commercial real estate.
I really was a jack of all trades. After Duke, I went to grad school at Duke, and afterwards I worked for a large consulting firm in New York, like all dumb MBAs back in the 80s. We went to New York. I realized that wasn't for me, so I went with a small boutique brokerage firm in Florida, and I loved it. I loved it so much I figured I could do it on my own. I had no idea what I was doing, frankly. So that endeavor didn't last more than 2 years. I couldn't figure out how to be a broker. I just didn't know what I didn't know. Like we all don't know what we don't know. So that entered a journey of both entrepreneurial and formal employee elements throughout my next 20 years. I patented a sports watch along the way. I was a CFO of a law firm. I was a COO of a telecom firm. And then finally ended up with a firm called back then Sperry Van Ness, now SVN, and was an executive for them before the crash of 2008. And that led to a layoff that led to what the hell am I going to do next? Since no one had any money. But the CFO, COO roles, all those roles allow me to understand business application that a Duke MBA just frankly, is more academic. And then the practical application of brokerage. I always enjoyed real estate. So I figured we'll mesh the two, brokerage and business, and started a coaching company. Now in the 17th year, we have 40 coaches. We have hundreds of clients now across the globe. So this one, I think I'm going to stick with.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like I said, I've taken your program. It was incredible. And we'll get into that definitely a little more later when I ask you some specific questions, but I'm curious, where were you from originally? Did you come to Durham area for Duke, or were you in the area before that? Or
yes, I came to Durham area just for Duke. I'm born in New York City, raised out on Long Island. I was a lacrosse player who played too much lacrosse in college, frankly. And then when Duke had an opportunity to go to grad school, I said, I better get an education. So then I went to Duke.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was born and raised in Durham. I'm sitting in my house in Durham right now. So.
Oh, are you really? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. I think
in fact, I'm going to Duke football game this weekend.
Oh, so I'll be there. I'll be there actually. My fiance is a huge Duke fan. Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, we're I don't know if we mentioned prior to recording, but I think you're pretty familiar with the firm. We're with City Plat.
Yeah, of course. In fact, I had a conversation with Nikita 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to try to get Nikita to our huge global event in November that we're doing. We're going to try to get Nikita to be one of the speakers.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah. He's an amazing individual.
Yeah. He is. Yeah, we've learned so much from him. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So tell us. That's a nice little segue because I'm curious. Tell us about your event that's coming up.
Yeah. So look, we always done some really amazing live events. They've been considered the best in brokerage, in the industry. So we figured this year we'll try a virtual event. And so Graham, if you know me, if I do anything, I don't ever do anything small. I mean, it's kind of one of my negatives, I guess, that my wife would say. So we rented a studio in Vegas, same studio that Tony Robbins uses when he does his millions audience. So we rented this 360 4D translate in any language studio, and we're gonna get, hopefully including Nikita, 11 to 12 of the best brokers on the planet to share exactly what they do so everyone could do it as well. And it's a very low cost. We expect thousands of brokers to be there. So we're excited. And you could check it out at cresuccess.com. That's cresuccess.com. And we're excited about it. It takes a lot of work, a lot of investment, but we think it's going to have a huge impact on the industry.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that out. So, so your business is primarily, like you said before, it's coaching brokers, and then you mentioned you also had a coaching, investor coaching program as well. But I personally think there's a lot of similarities between the two, and you probably agree. But what do you think are like, some of the more valuable things you can learn as a future investor from like the brokerage standpoint?
Yeah, first of all, look, if when people come to our program, they were appraisers. I say, well, man, you have the foundation to be a really good investment broker. You do, right? You have that. That's just the foundational aspects of brokerage, being in the founding side, appraisal side. So when you're a broker, you have the foundational aspects of being an investor. But one thing we learned is it's a significant, and I mean significant difference between being a broker and being an investor. It's so much deeper in application and in tactics and in everything you have to do as an investor compared to being a broker. It just is what it is. And the best brokers don't necessarily make the best investors, and the best investors don't make the best brokers. They don't. But it's such a different in skill set.
What do you think the primary differences are?
Well, if you're going to close a deal on the brokerage side, think about what you do. And Graham, I'll ask Jesse. Jesse, when you're closing a deal on the brokerage side, what are your responsibilities?
Really just making sure that, the buyer and the seller have what they need. It depends on what side you're doing, but you're really just kind of giving your opinion. And if it's comfortable for them, then you just kind of encourage them to make an offer, and you kind of encourage a conversation. You encourage making sure all the dots and T's are crossed when it comes to agreements and stuff, but really pushing them to get advice from other people too.
Yeah. You're one of, you're not, first of all, you're not the shareholder in this situation.
100%.
You're a stakeholder, right? Your financial analysis on the deal, maybe some underwriting, maybe you use some Argus if it's a significant deal or not, right? Most likely you did not, frankly, as a broker. You did some Excel modeling and you said, okay, this is a return on cash in the IRR and the CSAM world we live in, right? This is what you do. So and that's great, and that's really important as a broker. But Graham, as an investor, to go to closing, what do you have to do?
Oh man, you got to make sure you got your debt lined up. You got to make sure you went through all the inspections. You got to make sure all the stuff is set up for after closing, like the utilities are being transferred, the tenants are notified. We have a probably like 100-point checklist that we.
That's exactly what I wanted to use, Graham. That was perfect. So if I was going to pilot a single engine propeller Cessna, right? I may have, and I'm not a pilot, so I hope this is right. I have a checklist before I take off, right? Now I'm going to pilot Air Force One with the president on board. I'm thinking that checklist might be a little larger than the other one, right?
Yeah,
so sure. I think that's the significant difference. And look, my clients are all brokers. I think brokers are a phenomenal profession because we eat what we kill. It's an amazing thing. It's just the due diligence and the complexity of an investor is just it's a significantly higher level. That's what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Brokerage, relatively speaking, like you're saying, looking at the two is pretty simple. It's funny. I was talking to one of my friends who's a business broker, and he was asking me about the checklists for like when we go to sell a building, and I was telling him about it. He's like, "That's it." He's like, "That's crazy." And he was telling about his. It was like 400 like points of like all these different things you have to do. I was like, that sounds absolutely terrible. But
it's amazing. Could you imagine if you were a landlord rep and you required, and this might be great for some landlord rep out there who's thinking, I can make a difference, right? If I treated my profession as a business broker did and looked at the business side of the tenant in the greatest detail I could to tell that landlord, this is the right choice for you. So I thought the business broker is a great analogy.
Yeah. For sure. So this is not a plug for Rod. We're not sponsored or anything by him or in this episode, but I'm going to set you up for a good one. Why do you think that either, people who are investing in real estate or if somebody wants to become a broker, like why do you think that people should have a coach?
Well, first of all, I remember when I first met Bob Knackel and he asked me, he said, "Coach, what the hell is a coach?" Right? Of course, that's been 13, almost 14 years now and meeting him every week and sometimes during the week. But he said to me when I asked him, he goes, "Oh, Tiger Woods has a coach and Michael Jordan's a coach." And that was the best of the best have a coach. You should have a coach. But that's not the reason why, by the way. It's not. The reason, and look, if you're an investor, you're a broker, whatever you're doing that you listen to, the reason that coaching works, I would compare it to AI today, right? So Jesse, what does AI do for you? What's the one thing it does for you?
I mean, probably the biggest thing that I'd say it does for me is I can ask it any question and it can give me some advice. So I'm a younger broker. I've only been in brokerage a little over a year, and there's some questions that I don't want to ask Graham sometimes. It's like, this is going to make me look stupid. I can ask it this question. It can give me a way to respond. I can talk to it and say, hey, I'm having this situation with the seller. What should I do? And it's giving me advice. I can practice cold calling with AI. It's like almost like a mini advisor. That maybe it's not giving me the best advice at all times, but it's going to give me some solid advice.
I completely agree with you. And if you do the right prompts, it can be really good advice.
Yeah.
But what AI does, when I compare it to coaching, look, this is a fact. Everyone listening to this podcast, we all, and this is our Alex Hormozi concept. I love Alex Hormozi. We all have this thing called our ignorance tax. And it just simply means we don't know what we don't know. And that's obvious. But what's that costing us? So, for example, Massimo right now is borderline $8 million in revenue, right? But I personally think we should be 12. I do. I can't, and I'm figuring out why, and we're getting there. But that's $4 million gap, right? For me, it's a $4 million gap. That's my ignorance tax. That's what it is. Because I don't know yet how to get there. It's costing me $4 million. So when a broker comes to us, maybe they're making 200,000, 500,000, a million, whatever they're making, and they want to make 2x, 3x, 4x that amount, right? So that's their ignorance gap, right there. So what we do is we compress the time to get to that next level. We are like AI. Mm-hmm. We are an accelerant. Any coach is an accelerant to get you to reduce the ignorance tax and get to that next level faster than you would on your own. And so why is it important? Well, if I don't make $12 million next year, and we probably won't, that means it cost me $4 million not knowing it. And then the next year, if we get 10 million suggested, that's another 2 million. So in 2 years alone, I've lost $6 million. But with a coach, and I've got coaches, I got coaching coaches, I got coaches that coach coaching, I got coaches that coach business, I got coaches that coach social media. I got all these coaches working with me to help me fill the gap. So in my mind, coaching is the great accelerator in helping you understand to get you to a next level you just don't know how to get to.
100%. I like Alex Hormozi a lot too, and I think he says like you can pay to get to your goal one of two ways. Like you can either pay for it, like actually, like pay a coach or something like that, or you can pay for it in time.
Right.
So it's like exactly what you said. You know, if you want to accelerate what you're learning and to get your result faster, you can just pay for it by coaching. And I mean, I saw that. I took I think it was called the Accelerator Program.
It was.
And it was awesome. It was like, for me, I'd been in the business for like a while, like 5 years, and nobody had given me like a solid foundation of like what I should be doing or like how to structure everything. And it was just all the tools of like, all right, you should, if you want to make 400K or whatever, you should be making this many calls, this many letters, this many meetings. Here's the templates for it. For me, I was like, this is awesome. It's like a very solid foundation for a broker. So like anytime a new broker talks to me, I'm like, you got to take like Massimo for sure. And I'm not just saying that. I really have said that to many, many people. I also suggest CCIM too, because that's another great education program. Is there anything else that you like typically recommend commercial real estate professionals be involved in?
Yeah, first of all, I think you should be like you're doing it right now, Graham. Right? So you're listening to Alex Hormozi or Dan Martell or Sharon Shavista or all these guys that we all came out. By the way, they all came out of the same coaching group that I did, called with Taki Moore, who's the coach's coach. So I knew all these guys. Now they're of course brilliant. They're fantastic. They're incredible. But just don't focus on commercial real estate to get your insights, advice. Look at business. Look at marketing. Right. I had a colleague, one of your coach colleagues, peers, and most of our clients now aren't new to business. We kind of moved away from that. Most of our clients are mid-career and seasoned veterans. That's a business model decision we made. But he showed me a prompt that I created my own board of advisors. Now you all should have your own board of advisors. Everyone on this call, right? In the old days, in the current days, we would spend a lot of money to get a board of advisors, right? But today, right now, sitting on my board right now is Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Dan Martell, Taki Moore, Alex Hormozi, Sarah Blakely, Jesse, her husband, I forget, all these amazing thought leaders are sitting on my board and in my ChatGPT prompt. So when I have an issue, I go, well, what should I do here? It's like, crap. That's a lot of money I would have put otherwise. So we all can create our own board of advisors. And I say that's one thing I would suggest to all brokers. Get out of the real estate only world. Watch some business models. Watch CNBC. I mean, as far as finance, figure out what's going on and become an advisor to your clients versus a broker.
Yeah, I think that's great because I have my own business too. And so I do naturally talk to a lot of people outside of business. And I think marketing and personal brand is actually a really great way to help grow that. So if you want to talk a little bit more about how personal brand has changed the game for you.
Yeah, the way I got to know Bob Knackel, and for those who don't know, Bob Knackel is the number one broker in the United States as far as volume closed, and he certainly sold more buildings in New York than anyone. Probably no more buildings in the world as far as we can estimate right now than anyone. He's been a client of mine for 13 years, and he's the only client that I coach personally. All our clients are coached by my team. When it came to branding and presence, I recognized that when I wrote that first book, which Bob was in, it was a thought leader piece. It was a thud factor. People said, "Oh, you're an author." I was no better than I was before I wrote the book, frankly. But it gave me a better brand. It gave me a better presence. It gave me the secret magic word we all seek, and that's an authority position. Right. And now it's been 5 books now that I've written, create my authority, that branding. But then we understood that, I don't do TikTok yet, although I heard from Gary Vaynerchuk yesterday, it's where we should all be starting to go now. But I started doing X, and I soon found out that for me, LinkedIn was my jam. I was better at writing LinkedIn posts and better at getting a LinkedIn audience. And I started enjoying that social media aspect. But branding is personal, physical, digital. Personal, physical, digital. Sunday, I leave for 3 days to give 2 speeches, right? That's the personal side. The physical side is also, the physical side is sending out tangible books for me. Sending out books is physical, right? And digital is all the social media and everything else. If you can focus on a personal, physical, and digital cadence, you can build a brand pretty quickly. Look, Bob Knackel didn't have a LinkedIn account 3 years ago, and now he's the number one broker in the United States on LinkedIn as far as followers and impact. He is, and ranked by CREI as the number one influencer. It's not that hard to figure it out. And also with AI today, we don't do this, but AI can write all your posts and post all your posts. Yeah. And it won't be authentic, which sucks. It should be authentic, but you can create a brand pretty quickly.
Yeah. When I took I don't remember if it was the first or second wave, but one of the early AI classes last July is when I took it. The first thing that we did was the authenticity document. And
That's
I thought
right.
that changed the game for my AI stuff because I have a ChatGPT, just like we walked through, that I can create social media or emails or anything that I needed to, right? Through that authenticity document that helped give me a lot of like my voice, and it made it sound a lot like me. It's not perfect. I think but that's the beauty of AI. This is just the beginning. It's only going to get better from here. And the further that we can use it to make our posts or whatever, like with Zapier, the options are literally endless. It's incredible. So I wanted to ask you can kind of plug the course, of course, but no pun intended, but talk to us about what do you see as the best AI tool that commercial real estate professionals should be using?
I think there's so many tools right now AI should be using. You guys are probably informed of, I don't think you're clients yet, although you should be, we just created a new AI platform for all CR brokers called CRE Launcher, CRELauncher.com. It actually, using AI bots and yourself, it's a dual system, will do your prospecting, right? And in a campaign sentence of sending out the emails, the text, the voicemail drops, and we just found out today we just found out in the last hour, and we'll now legally start making phone calls that you can't before. It's a huge compliance issue we've gotten through.
Yeah.
So it will automate all the marketing, right? And then once you get the exclusive, that's all the prospecting. Once you get the exclusive, it's going to automate your marketing efforts, right? So our beta test clients have used it. They cannot believe how quickly they're booking meetings, and then it books meetings on your calendar. So the number one tool everyone should use that's a broker is the CRE Launcher. If you're a landlord, you should make sure your brokers are using the CRE Launcher. Then after that, I'll see all your chat bots you should be using. That's obvious. Terracotta is very interesting. It is. I've heard some great things about it. I've heard some okay things about it. We actually integrated it with our chat CRE Launcher. Needle is pretty exciting. Former Massimo client, Stash Skalinsky. He created it with his developers, Needle, NDL AI. That is a platform for commercial real estate multifamily brokers that will identify assets that will soon be available or soon be up for sale. It's working. And my coaches use it, so I know it's working. That's 3 right there. But I will tell you, I geek out about the stupid things, Jess, I do. So right now, so for example, when I wrote my book, Knowing Isn't Doing, we created a video trailer for it. A 30-second video trailer cost me $7,000, right? That's what it cost me, $7,000. That's in 2020 when I wrote that book. Today, I could do that trailer for $20, right? And it's lifelike. The new Sora that came out 2 weeks ago is mind-blowing. Now, it's dangerous. Absolutely is, but it is mind blowing. You cannot tell anymore the difference between the human and AI. Those days are gone. They're gone. When Sora came out, and we're using it for some commercials. We're making commercials now for Massimo, commercials now for the CRE summit in November, and it's costing me, okay, you get someone to do it for you, maybe $100. It's just incredible. I think brokers need to look at that type of use as well from that standpoint. So those are four I think they should brokers to look at.
Yeah. I think that's one of the challenges for me with AI is like, there's so many things you can do. And it's like, you go on Instagram now or whatever social media, and like every single, like 90% of it's an ad. And it's like, you should be using this in your business. You should use that. Mm-hmm. You should sign up for this. You should do that. If you're not doing this with AI, like, and then it gets overwhelming. So like Jesse kind of asked you this a little bit, but like, what would be like the number one, like what would be like the order of operation of like what people should do to implement first? Like would the first step be go to your CRA launch program? Or
let's be honest, breaking into commercial real estate can be overwhelming, and trust me, I've been there. But what if there's a shortcut? Well, there is. It's called Fast Track from Commercial Academy. It's their brand new way to jumpstart your investing career. For one incredibly low monthly price, you can unlock Scott Shields' learning library. Decades of experience recorded by Scott himself and condensed into courses that you can binge watch tonight. You also get their exclusive deal analysis software that lets you run numbers on opportunities in minutes, not days. And that's a huge deal in commercial real estate. Here's what made me do a double take though. For every Fast Track member that gets this, right, they get a free ticket to their next live event. That's a huge savings. It's also a chance for you to get into the room with other investors, learn directly from Scott, maybe even find your first deal right there in that room. If you've been waiting for the right time, honestly, this is it. The path is here. The tools are ready. And remember, it only takes one deal, one time to change your life forever. Text Fast Track to 888-653-1199. Once again, that's Fast Track to 888-653-1199.
What's up? It's Graham here, and here's something that will blow your mind. Those massive shopping centers, apartment complexes, and medical buildings you drive by every day, they're not just owned by billion-dollar corporations. Regular people own them. We're talking real estate agents, medical professionals, electricians, fitness instructors, construction workers, everyday folks who made the decision to step into commercial real estate, and the guy who's been teaching them how to do it for 30 years, J. Scott Shield. Through Commercial Academy, Scott's mentored thousands of students over the past 20 years, and many of them have gone to build serious wealth and freedom through commercial real estate deals. These aren't unicorn stories. This is what happens when you learn the right strategies. Scott's packed his most valuable insight into a complete complimentary ebook called 7 Reasons You Can Make Huge Profits in Commercial Real Estate. This isn't fluff. It's a real strategy that helped create millionaires through Commercial Academy. Want to see what all the fuss is about? Text ebook to 888-653-1199 right now. That's ebook to 888-653-1199. Remember, it only takes one deal, one time to change your life forever.
The first thing you should do, I just do what I did. Look, my director of innovation, you guys know him, Connor. When Connor called me in January 22 and said, "I need to get you on the Zoom for a minute," and I said, "What's up, Connor? I'm really busy." Right? Because he's just a kid that I dealt with a couple of times. He said, "You're gonna want to talk to me for 15 minutes," and he showed me ChatGPT, and I said, "The world's completely changed." I saw it. I mean, it's not a pompous. I hope it's not. I saw it right away. The world's changed. And so then I've hired Connor full time to take me along this journey. I think the first thing everyone should do is just sit there and watch YouTube videos on basic Chat GPT for a week. Just understand everything. It's no longer chat. It's now chat. It's now research. It's now agents. And they just announced last week in their dev day, the agents will replace a lot of people in the brokerage world. It will, maybe not brokers first, but all our AIs in the Philippines and where they're all going to be gone within a year. They don't need them within a year. You're not. They're gone. So you should learn. And first of all, it's now the highest valued company in the world. That's another reason to watch them. OpenAI's ChatGPT. Just watch what they're doing. And then I would move to something like a Claude. If you're analytical, go to a Claude and research that, and just do those things at first. And then you can use tools like Serial. You should go to Serial Launcher. And by the way, Serial Launcher, you don't have to learn. You don't need any code. We do all the code. But Serial Launcher or Needle or Placer AI, those are all great platforms. That's how I start. I just start watching YouTube videos, and I commit to every day. And then there's a great newsletter. There's a lot of newsletters. So the one I read is called Rundown. I think it's called Rundown, and I think that's it. I'll get it right. And I read it every morning. The first newsletter I read every morning is an AI newsletter, which sounds crazy for a guy running a commercial real estate coaching company, right? So it tells me what's coming on. Yeah. And so that's how I start.
It's like the ultimate form of leverage, though. It makes perfect sense. I mean, it can make every aspect of business easier if you can, systemize and automate stuff. Go into just a little bit more into depth about the agents. You said that you think a lot of the people in the Philippines and stuff will be replaced. What exactly, like how could a commercial broker or investor use an agent? Like, walk us through an example. Because that's something.
Well, look at a real life example first that exists today. My wife's been hounding me, and I'm not great at the to-do list, right? But my wife's been hounding me to get a new landscaper. It's like, I don't want to look up landscapers. And I could give it to my VA, go look up landscapers, right? But instead I went to ChatGPT and said, look, I live in Cary, North Carolina. I need a new landscape to do these following things. Go find me the landscapers. And I use their agent tool. It's right there. It's agent tool. And so it said right away, Rod, answer these 3 questions. I answered the questions. I said, Rod, do I have your permission to use your information to put into their web forms? I said, go ahead and do it. So it went to all the landscapers' websites, filled in all my information, booked appointments for me, right? It probably did it all in less than half an hour. And I was working the whole time, right? I didn't do anything. So I went to my wife and said, I got these appointments. She's like, oh, that's so great. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. So the point is, if you're doing research as a broker now, today you can have bots do decent research for you. Not great research. There's no MCP or API yet to break the CoStar wall. And that's up to CoStar to give that or not, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of walls. LinkedIn will be soon. That's what I'm hearing is. So you can do a lot of research on people right now. I would, what we're building right now on the back end, and maybe I'm sure, Graham, you remember this. We had a thing called the call calculator. I don't know if we did it in your group or not. We tell our clients who to call every day for a year. We do. It's easy to do that now. And I've done that for years. But now, we're gonna, and anyone can do this, right? So Graham, you have people call tomorrow, every day you have people call. You would put that into your chat agents right now and say, okay, give me all the research, give me the summary report, give me a call list, do it all, put it on my desk, send to my email box. Or chat, you can use your Gmail whatever integration and put it in my email box every day for the rest of my career. And that's exactly what we'll do. It will put your call list with all the summaries, and every broker should be doing that on the prospecting side. They should be doing that along. Yeah. So research and prospecting for brokers from that end. And if you're an investor, if you're looking for basic public information in your community's township, most of that is accessible. So if you tell your bot, go to this township, this website, look at these properties, give me all the information on these things, you can get a list of properties that are currently getting new, either a zoning change or a building request or whatever it might be, inspection requests, and you can find a list of prospects of what you might be investing in. You can. So first thing is prospects, absolutely. The second is research, 100%. It does that. And then unfortunately, although you got to be careful, we all know this, you can replace your attorneys, at least the process of the simple attorney stuff initially. When it comes to real stuff, I wouldn't do that yet. But again, I do believe, based on the speed of progress, even attorneys have concerns right now. Yeah. They do. It's all public information. What the law is public information. It is. Yeah. So
that's insane. So that call thing was not in my group at the time. So you said it can pull a call list for you, send it to your email, and you can go in there and it'll say like, hey, this is John Doe. He owns this building. You can call him and it'll give you the phone number and all that stuff.
And then, if it's publicly available, yes. But if it's on you, most people come from your list initially, but we'll research. What did John say in LinkedIn last week? What did John do? What buildings did John dispose of? Anything it might be, right? It's all public information. So that's incredible. And that's the thing is, when I ask, so we finally, in your guys, so I finally accepted enterprise client last year. It was our first year doing it. So it's one of the top 3 brokerage firms in the world. And so it shocks me when I get on the phone with everyone, go call someone right now. They all stare at me like, who should I call? It shocks me. I mean, it shocked me like, huh? And so I soon realized everyone needs to know. You have to know. So we waste so much time, brokers on the broker side specifically. We make so much time figuring out who we're going to call, and then we sit there and we research during our call time. What a waste! What a total waste! And so that's your excuse for not making calls.
Yeah.
Well, I research them. So we're going to negate that excuse within the next 2 months. That's gone.
That's
awesome.
incredible. You mentioned CoStar. I'm curious, just what's your opinion on them? Some people they're very controversial in the real estate world. Some people hate them. Some people love them.
Yeah. I hear that their major competitor right now is having a pretty hard time in a lawsuit that looks like they're going to lose. I won't mention the competitor's name. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
CoStar business model, which it just, and we've accepted it, is let's create proprietary research approach. Nice, right? Then let's have you give us your information. Then let's have you buy back your information. And then let's make sure anyone wants to compete with us, we're going to sue them till they can't compete with us. And I know 3 firms already that have gone bankrupt in that CoStar, 2 firms in that CoStar battle of patents, right? So they have a monopoly. They have a monopoly, and are they the evil empire, or are they the good guys? That's not for me to say. They provide a service, and if you want to use them, great. I will tell you this though: Bob Knackel doesn't use CoStar. Not that there's anything against them, but he knows for a fact this is arguably the greatest broker on the planet. Though some other amazing brokers, Sam McVeigh in Australia is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. He'll be speaking, by the way, at the Series Summit. His point is, if you don't have priority information, you're just like everybody else. You're not an authority, you're a commodity. Everyone has CoStar. How does it make you special? Is it required? Yes, you should have it. For most of you. For most brokers should have CoStar. Here's my point. But those who don't rely on it have an advantage.
Well, I'm guessing Bob doesn't use it because he's done so many buildings in New York that he has kind of his own database, I assume. Yeah. And probably better than CoStar.
And he's researching every day. I mean, his team's out there on the phone with owners or walking Manhattan every day. I mean, the map room, which I'm sure you've seen online, that's a dynamic, platform. That's not a static, this is what things were in 2023 during the pandemic. That's a dynamic platform for everyone. And now a new client in Charlotte, Jay Royster, just opened up his map room, which is pretty cool. I'm seeing more and more brokers opening up their map rooms, and that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Well,
I'm curious. Oh, what were you going to say, Jesse?
Well, I did want to make sure we talked about, being a broker and owner. So I was going to talk about that at the same time. So Rod, you mentioned before the podcast, you do own real estate. I feel like a lot of people may not necessarily know that about you. So what is your opinion on brokers owning, and how do you kind of walk that line sometimes of being both a broker and an owner? Okay,
though I'm a licensed broker, I don't broker. So that's different. I own an organization that coaches. For our clients, I find that, I won't mention his name, but we have a client in New York who's a rather significant broker, and all his investments are outside of New York, purposely. He does. And the one he does, he discloses every time he goes for a listing, right? So you have to do that. The easy thing is just to own property outside your state, so there's never a conflict of interest situation. That's the easiest thing to do. Or own a product that you do not sell or lease, right? Own a Starbucks versus leasing office space. There's no conflict. Yeah. If you have the conflict, you must disclose. You must. Mm-hmm. But since you're fans of Hormozi, Graham, I'll ask you, what would Hormozi say if you're thinking about being a broker and investor? What would Hormozi say? Do you know?
I don't know fully, but I'd imagine he'd say you should probably pick one and focus on it.
Yeah. You're not going to be great at being a broker. You're not going to be great at being an investor. Why? I mean, great. You may be good, and good might be good enough. Absolutely. I see a lot of broker buyers, broker investors. Absolutely. But to be the best broker on the planet, you can't spend your bandwidth, your mental and bandwidth managing and investing in properties. Right? You're taking away from the skill set and knowledge of brokering. Be the best broker, and vice versa. You just can't. I see people that have completely left brokerage and do nothing now but invest. And they're making a lot more money, but they have a lot more risk. And as risky as brokerage is, gentlemen, you're both brokers. You eat what you kill, right? Yep. We all know that. as risky as brokerage is, it's not as risky as being an investor.
Yeah, for sure.
I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on investing, on brokerage investing. I'm sorry, on property investments. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but in brokerage, it's just not that as risky. It's not.
Yeah. What you brought up is a perfect thing we've been discussing a lot. I don't know if you've read it yet, but there's a book called The Science of Scaling. Have you read
I haven't
that
read
book?
that yet. No.
It's it's Ben Hardy. He's the guy who he did several books with Dan Sullivan, like 10X is easier than 2X. Who Not How, and The Gap in the Gain.
Wait, oh, this is a Hardy book?
Yes.
Really?
It's
I gotta
new.
read it.
It's amazing. Okay. And Tony Robbins writes the forward for it too. But he basically says
I'm gonna order it today.
Yeah, it's very good. But it's like a challenge because it basically says exactly what you said. You're not going to be good at both or great at both. You have to pick one. So that's something we've been kind of going back and forth on. I'm definitely more interested in the investing side than the broker side. I really like brokerage. I enjoy it. But I really want to build a portfolio. I think Jesse does too. But you said something interesting, and sounds like you were kind of going through this before we started the recording. You said you had a commercial real estate investing coaching program, but you sold it off. Was that part of the reasoning that you were trying to just focus on the brokerage only and be in one?
Yeah, I wasn't great. It wasn't great at because it's its own marketing, its own sales, its own funnels, its own content, all that. I just wasn't great at that, and it was also taking away from my free time with the family, right? Because I put all my time in my coaching organization. Now I'm going to do something else, or I'm going to take time away. And I ended up started taking time away from my family, taking time away from my family, and taking time away from my coaching business. Yeah. And we just jettisoned our consulting business as well. We had a consulting business at Massimo that was pretty good, not great. But we jettisoned that as well because we're the best on the planet at what we do. And I think we could be a lot better. I really do. And if I focus just on this one thing, and Gary Keller wrote a book called The One Thing, right? So from Keller Williams. If you just focus on the one thing, you'll make so much money. And I see a lot of brokers now really focusing on different things. They do, right? I want to make content. I want to be a podcaster. I want to do this. Why don't you just broker? You're amazing how much money you can make. But I get it. Look, but I understand completely. We only have one life to live, so we want to get as many experiences as possible, right? Brokering by itself could be boring. Absolutely. Coaching by itself is never boring because it's everyday different people, different personalities. But I have different hobbies, different habits. I do. Different interests. But when it comes to professionalism, if you can do one thing, you're going to be great at it.
Yeah. That's funny. You just called us out because we have podcasters, brokers, investors, and
but that's the thing. See, I'm a podcaster as well, and I'm an author as well, right? I'm a speaker as well, and so Rod has nothing. Yeah, it is. That drives the machine. It drives. It does. So that's part of the funnel. It's all part of the funnel.
Yeah, that's kind of how we've seen it. Like it helps us with all things like brokerage, investing, all that. So, what would you be your advice then? To us, just like balancing all that. Would it be that it's all part of the same funnel, or what do you think?
If it was purely a business standpoint, I said, guys, where are you making the most money? Where's the most opportunity for you right now? Is it on the investment side or is it on the brokerage side, right? And do you have the resources and support to make that possible? Support mostly becomes your spouses and your family, right? Can they support that you're going to take a step back to move a step forward? So that's what I would, from a pure business side, and that's the only thing I would ever talk. I don't talk about life like so many people do. I'm not great. I'm not an expert at life. I'm an expert at this one thing. So I'll talk about this one thing. And you saw Hormozi do that too. Hormozi stopped talking about life and said, I'm just talking about business. That's what I could talk about. So if you truly think the upsides, and where's the upside for you guys? Is it on the investment side or is it on the brokerage side? Where is the true upside? So on the brokerage side, are you a specialist or are you a generalist? Right? And you don't have to answer these questions. I'm coaching through you, not to you. So if you're a generalist, but you're really excited about the investment side, maybe the investment side is a place to go. And there's going to be plenty of opportunity in investments. I'm sorry. It will continue to be. People always buy and sell. Always. I don't care what happened, right? We had our best year ever during the pandemic, right? And I'm sorry. We've never had a year making less than the year prior in 17 years, ever. But we had a positive year during the pandemic. So my point is, things will always transact. So there will always be people investing. Are they going to look at you as the specialist, as an investment advisor, right? As a broker? And if you're an investor, are you the best investor you can be? You follow people like, I'm sure you follow Don Tetman, the strip mall guy, right?
Yeah.
So he talks a lot about life. In fact, most of his posts are about life. Very few are about the art of buying and selling strip malls. I personally think if he did more of that, right? And this, I'm not talking about Don's blowing up, and Don's a really good guy. I've had a pleasure meeting him several times. I think if he did more on the strip mall stuff, he'd get more strip mall opportunities. Maybe he doesn't want them, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you're going to be that. Make your social media be that. Make your content be that. Make your podcast be that, right? That's my advice to anybody.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's tough because there's, like you said, what are you going to make the most money in, or what is the most opportunity in? I feel like that's the cool thing about real estate, but also the challenges. You can make a lot of money doing both of them. So it's like
that's true too.
There's so many different opportunities and so many things out there to go after. It's hard to pick one and go for it.
Yeah, but if you look, unlike brokerage, investment can create cash flow. Brokerage creates cash events.
Yeah.
But it does not create cash flow. It doesn't.
And I think that's the main thing that got Graham and I to want to do more investing is the cash flow. It's like Graham's got three kids and one on the way, and I'm about to get married. And it's like, I like the cash event. So the way you put that, that's kind of funny. But the cash flow is huge too. And, kind of get out of that, that hamster wheel, if you will, of, oh, we have money. No, we don't. We have to get some stuff under contract. And it's like a continual pipe that you have to continue to fill in order
it's a never ending continuum of find, win, fulfill, find, win, fulfill, find, win, fulfill. Now, like our friend, my dear friend, and Graham, I think you guys know her. You know Beth Azar?
I've seen her stuff. I really want to get her on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Beth owns 5 shopping centers, I believe, and she says this publicly, so it's not anything confidential. Mm-hmm. And so she isn't broker anymore, right? She works on she lives by the cash flow, and she has a great living. And so, yeah, cash flow, and most business advisors, forget brokerage, would tell you that cash flow is king. Cash flow is everything. It is. So if that's what your passion is, look. I built a cash flow business. I built a cash flow business. When early on it was cash events. Oh, I got a coaching client. Now it's cash flow. It is every month the money comes in. It's a more comfortable place to be in sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, you seem like, obviously your business has been very successful and you've designed a business to create cash flow, like you said. And I imagine that allows you kind of do things you want to do outside of business, outside of the coaching and all that stuff. What do you like to do? Yeah,
I still, I'm 62 years old. I still work out 6 days a week. I don't even I do read an email or two before I go to the gym, but I'll go to the gym, I'll hang out, and I'll get to the office around 10 o'clock. I'll still work 10, sometimes 12 hours a day because I love what I do. I do, but I'm not ever going to be the 4 a.m. guy. I'm not. So I get to work around 10, but I work out every day. I recently, within the last 2 years, stopped my favorite thing in the world, and that was playing lacrosse on the master's level, just because, unfortunately, I had 2 concussions during the pandemic in the house of all crazy things. And so the neurologist says I could play again, but the big doctor, that Mrs. S, says I can't, so I won't.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and beyond that, I still love my Duke lacrosse helmets over there. I coached while I was going to Duke there. I still love being involved in the Duke lacrosse program, even giving money, going to all the events. I'm involved in the Duke alumni there. So yeah, I keep busy. I do, but I will tell you, I am always thinking, and it's who I am and how I'm wired. And I wish it wasn't this case sometimes. I'm always thinking, it keeps me up at night. What's next? What's next? What's next? I'm always thinking, what else can we do? What else can we do? So I think that's become my hobby. My work is my biggest hobby, guys. It just is.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I think Dan Martell says it really well. He's like, yeah, you got to buy back your time, but don't get rid of the stuff that you enjoy doing. Like, what's the point at that point? Then you're just living life on auto, and that's not fun for anybody. I think a lot of people agree with that. So I think that's cool. Something I was going to ask was, of course, I'm going to blank on it now. Wow. Complete brain.
Here, I got a question while you're thinking on it. This is what I like to ask people at the very end or towards the end of the podcast. But if you could give somebody a piece of advice, whether it's a broker who wants to start out or investor who wants to start out in commercial real estate, just to get into the commercial real estate world, what would be your one piece of advice to that person just starting out?
Yeah, I think it's the same as I give nothing especially when it comes like everything in life is sales. Everything in life is sales. The interview, the process, the pitch you go on, looking for money from investors. Everything is sales. Nothing will ever beat conviction. I don't care how good your pitch is and your script is. If you don't have the conviction behind what you do and how you do it, you're just not going to be as successful than you would otherwise. But if you have conviction, I know to my core guys, I know to my core that we are the greatest commercial real estate brokerage organization in the history of the world. I know it for a fact. Yeah, based on all the clients we've served and the results they have and I just know it, right? And so when I'm on a pitch, I'm not on a pitch very often because we have a sales team, I'll win it because I'm unbelievable, right? And I'm excited and I have the energy, right? If just when you got to show up with the conviction and the energy and the excitement to what you're doing, and that erases any fault you can have. It's crazy. It's truly, I've seen kids make high six figures, kids in brokerage, because they can pitch with conviction, period. So go with the conviction route all the time.
That's awesome. That's great advice.
I remember my question. So even coaches, like you have blind spots as a business owner and all that stuff. What's something that you've had to unlearn and like evolve as a leader throughout your career, building businesses and all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. For the first 15 years of Massimo, I led with my heart. I did, right? And because I'm a guy, if you do I'm not sure, Graham, you probably didn't do one, but all our one-on-one coaching clients go through a thing called the AVA, vector analysis, it's human behavior assessment, and who they are, how they're wired, so we know how to coach them best. And I do one as well. And as my coaches, the ones that coach me, tell me, Rod, your loyalty is impacting your leadership. Since you asked a leadership question, Jesse, your loyalty is impacting your leadership. So if people were not performing as well as they could or should, I didn't make that employment decision or not versus they're a good guy. She's a good girl. I like her. She's got a family. He's got this. I would let all those factors really overcome the shortcomings to the point where it's a detriment to the growth of the organization. I'm still that guy. I still care about, I still have the empathy, by the way, which makes great leadership, empathy.
For sure.
What I wasn't doing is running an organization based purely on data and KPI. And we made that switch about a year ago. So I don't care how much I care, but it's not as much as a measurement as far as how well I know you, like you, tenure. That I do. But if you can't do the job, you can't do the job. You can't. Yeah. And it's me that's holding you back from doing what you're great at. And it's me that's holding Massimo back from becoming great if I let those people continue to sit here and do average work. So I think that was a great question, Jesse. My evolution of leadership has come through recognition of who I am, how I'm wired, and the acceptance that I need to change. And it's not being meaner. It's not being crueler. Yeah. It's not. It's just making better, more educated decisions based on a data-driven model versus an empathy model. And for me, it's a better situation.
Yeah, I think that's a really great answer. We talk about traction and looking at our rocks and figuring out, okay, what in the next 90 days am I going to hit? And if I'm not hitting, because like we talked about one thing, right? Those three things should be going after one central idea more than likely. And if we're not doing that, then what are we doing, So
exactly it.
And there's always room to grow. And I think that's a cliche, but the way that you kind of phrased that was really great. I appreciate that answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I can't think of any other questions that I have. If people want to, obviously you have a lot of stuff going on. You have the coaching programs, you have your summit coming up, you have your books. What's the best place for people to find out, more and reach out to you?
Yeah, the best place definitely is Massimo, Massimo.coach, Massimo.coach. You can learn about my books, our events, speaking, anything there. If you're not a commercial real estate broker, I think the best book I've ever written, and was the #1 sales book in America, was Knowing Isn't Doing. And that's, if you're not a broker, if you are, that's a great book, I think, as well. Okay.
Awesome. Well, definitely go check that out, guys. Hopefully you got a lot of value. I know we did. And we thank you so much for coming on, Rod. And we hope you guys enjoyed this one. Okay. You guys are Massimo clients. So Jesse and Graham, it's an honor. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we'll see you at the next Duke football game.
Let's do it. See you Saturday.
Thanks, guys.